Hello and welcome to the Rupeeting podcast. My name is Ayush and we have Chaitanya and Sagar on the panel today. It is Republic Day and we're shooting bang in the middle of the afternoon because why not? And in the spirit of patriotism, we're going to cover a stock which the government really likes and now we also really like for multiple reasons. So I think over the course of the past year, we've done a lot of defense stocks like Hindustan Aeronautics, Bharat Dynamics, Mazgar Docs, etc. And they've gone like 2, 3x in returns, not since just we've covered them, but overall because of how the defense space has moved in the country. I think it was the best performing index also last year, recording about an 88% return in the whole of 2023. But we missed one stock that isn't just Army, isn't just Navy or just Air Force. It is all three combined into one and has this one suite of products that is suitable for all three and is also involved in stuff like aerospace. And this company is called Data Patterns. Yeah.
We didn't miss it really. We just didn't cover it on
Yeah,
the blogs, but
correct. Yeah.
it's
But it's
been
been a
one of
part of
the
our
top,
portfolio.
it's been one of the top performers there. So that's the perk of paying for services rather than coming in and free.
Speaking of which, none of what we talk about during this podcast is financial advice in any way. It's just educational and entertainment content that we do for the podcast. For actual services, head over to our website and you can check it out there.
That didn't look right. For actual services, you can serve me, bitches.
Yeah, actually, when you say check it out below, it is a very nice honor. Yeah. But data patterns, part of our Monopolies portfolio. We've been part of this or like have invested in this stock almost close to since its IPO in around what December 2021. And since then, the stock has gone up 150, 160%. And so has our position in that
And
through
you
our
stopped
monopolies.
counting. You're like,
Yeah,
after you stop, when you get rich, you stop counting your money.
yeah. Subtle flex. Subtle flex.
Is that for us? It's just sitting on a lot of cash. If it's a cushion or it's notes, we don't know.
Which is why we painstakingly make these podcasts so people can invest in our portfolios or
It's
our
democratizing, right? We are making
yeah,
everybody rich. We're on a noble mission. We don't need the
that is
money.
true. That's true. It's not for the money.
Yeah,
We are finance bros who aren't in it for the money. Yeah. Sure.
that's a good positioning. Sure.
Yeah.
Greedy and hungry. Sorry.
Yeah. But so data patterns, why we say that it's part of the Army, Air Force, Navy, and aerospace is because they make certain key electronic components that go into all four of these spheres, whether that's a tank, a missile system, a submarine, a ship, a weapon system, or even a spacecraft. In fact, I think very recently, NASA and ISRO have been creating this satellite called the NISR, which Data Patterns is a part of, which basically does a sweep of the Earth's entire um like territorial side 12
Orbit.
times yeah, the entire orbit, the entire geographical spectrum for I think what twice a month, and records significant changes in like small things, whether the number of trees have changed or a certain cloud has moved from one place to the other. So meteorological and environmental things, just tracking it. So this is a huge project that is on a very global scale because India, USA, and Data Patterns is doing a part of that technology that's going into that satellite, which will launch in a couple of months. So it's been in the news, not just for this, but for a multitude of things. And it is a monopoly in what it does because it's the only company that the government sorts after to do this electronic system manufacturing and installation and designing of all of this. Yeah,
Interesting.
interesting indeed.
Interesting that it's not only software, right? It's like software plus hardware. So the
Yeah,
entire end-to-end system is something that they deliver, which
correct.
works beautifully. And a lot of other companies have been working towards that goal, where software companies try to integrate hardware, deliver um, systems, not components, but at least systems,
Yeah.
um, and the other way as well. So this one sort of sits in a very sweet spot when it comes to
Yeah.
end-to-end delivery of any subsystem or system.
Correct. And sweet spot in which it seems to be the only player that anyone's looking out for either. Because in terms of whether that's manufacturing capacity or the expertise in the tech, or as you mentioned, the ability to merge software and hardware so effortlessly. I mean, it looks effortless, but I'm sure this is 20,
Yeah.
30 years of expertise in the making. It is the only one that the government is partnering with for defense and aerospace.
So for businesses like this, time is the only sort of solution, right? You see a lot of
Yeah,
new startups coming in with the capability of doing this, but obviously they won't have the experience, they won't have the credibility, they won't have
correct.
track record, they won't have even contacts with the government. You need like
Exactly.
such an ingrained network, so you keep getting consistently these contracts.
Right.
Um, yeah, so I think monopoly to stay, given the fact that the entry barriers are so high.
Yeah,
Uh,
absolutely.
and obviously, the criticality of the work is also super high. They need all these
Yep.
certifications and point precision, and there's a lot of industry standards that they have to adhere to. Because every
Correct.
single country, also, if they're doing export orders, every country too has a different certification and standard to
Yeah,
adhere. Um,
correct.
it's a tedious effort. So sometimes, like you think about whether a company, like if a company's been existing for 30, 40 years, but still it's as small as this one,
Yeah,
you can question its
Mhm.
credibility, but at the same time, it's one of those places where time is the only solution to build that credibility.
correct.
So,
Also, that end up becoming the moat for the company because
yeah.
no one, yeah. Plus,
Yeah, that's
the
true.
switching costs of the clients are also high in these
Yeah,
costs of services.
that's
So
true.
And investing in moats is something that we
yeah,
like doing.
focus on.
Brand plug for a future thing.
Yes. So repeating moat. Never mind. Later.
This
Anyway, so
is teaser trailer for.
That's something cooking. You will also you all get a taste of that.
Yeah,
yeah, if you have 50 lakh rupees, DM us and we'll talk to you. If you're poor, continue
yeah.
watching.
Continue.
Subscribe.
So there's a podcast link. You
But
can
we're not
also,
about the money. But we're not about the money. We're all
Yeah.
about that content journey.
but why not, right? If we
Yeah,
can,
why not? Who's going to say no to free money?
yeah.
Really, we're working very hard.
We're working very hard. That is true. That is true. Yeah, but I
So,
think
how
so
do data
has data
patterns work very
patterns.
hard?
Exactly.
And
Exactly. Correct. Great segue.
why don't you throw some light on this topic, Chetan?
Yeah.
Yeah, so it was started back in 80s, like when the IBC's first microcomputers were launched. So
IBM.
it is not always that high tech company.
Yeah.
So they started very small, designing hardware that work with it, to automate. Okay, this has to be cut.
No, no, it's fine. You don't need to cut it. I mean,
Uh,
okay, so basically, as you said, started back in the 80s,
yeah,
around the time when, so I think 81 is when the first basically
I-
PC system was launched by
IBM.
IBM.
Yeah,
And that was revolutionary technology for back then. So everyone was trying to build on top of that, just like how right now
Mhm.
everyone's building on the blockchain.
Yeah,
So they started off with just creating hardware that used the IBM PC as the mainframe to
Mhm.
automate chemistry labs across the country. So just
Right.
chemical related lab automation is something that they started off with,
Mhm.
completely different from what they're doing right now. And
And
that's how
that they
they
were
started.
competing with HP, Hewlett Packard.
Exactly. So already like Chappal Phadke, they're doing competition right off the
Yeah.
bat. And that was just like level zero of them
Zero,
starting their business.
competing with the global MNC at
Exactly.
the ground
Correct.
zero level.
Exactly.
Right.
So I think because they did such like a David Goliath sort of situation, they got noticed eventually. And I think
Mhm.
what did they do next?
Yeah. After that, they collaborated with Bale to testing equipment for the large power transmission system, so
Yeah.
that it doesn't go ballooning when it's real life
Yeah.
uses basically.
Correct.
After that, Bale was like a government company. Then they upgraded to ISRO for automated test equipment system that was eventually sold to them. like to the ISRO, to testing the navigation equipment and other avionics of the launch vehicle program. So that's how they started their long-term relationship with ISRO, which is still today, which is still
Yeah.
standing.
In fact, like it's
Yeah,
good that you mentioned that because so this particular deal that happened
yeah,
between them, I think it happened in late 90s to maybe 2000.
yeah,
And since then, ISRO has only used data patterns technology for their launch vehicle programs, at
yeah.
least in terms of testing it so that it doesn't blow up in space.
Hmm.
So that's how integral data patterns is to ISRO's functioning.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Also, the latest missile BrahMos, which everyone keeps talking about, so it's
Yeah.
what data pattern which helped them to launch that. So it is pretty
Yeah.
cool actually. Yeah,
Yeah.
because everyone knows about BrahMos, but they know very little about the company who helped it get launched.
Correct. So the
Yeah,
missile itself obviously wasn't created by them, but the
yeah,
launch
it
system,
was DRDO,
yeah. So they were the first ones in India, data patterns, to create that launch system, I think.
and they
So yeah,
still have a
quite
monopoly in that.
exactly. So they started as just like mere automation tech people,
Right.
took their first big leap with getting a government company like BHEL,
Hmm.
then went to the biggest aerospace division
Yeah.
in the country, then went to the biggest research and development in defense area, and got
Hmm.
all three of these clients. So government, space, defense,
Yeah.
all of them under its ambit within the span of two decades,
And
which
all
is
of these
crazy.
things are interdependent, like because they were able
Exactly.
to, yeah, were able to land PAIL, and that's how ISRO and then DRDO, which actually
Correct.
tells us the importance of the relationship with your clients in these kind of businesses,
Yeah,
why they're
absolutely.
important and long term.
Correct. Which is again coming back to what Sagar also mentioned, like an extremely high entry barrier. Because if they
Right.
hadn't set these relationships on one after the other, then it wouldn't be a monopoly that it
Yeah,
is today.
exactly.
But that's also the beauty of it, right? Like because these guys worked their way through at a time when India was anyway very heavily reliant on imports.
Yeah,
Imports.
Uh, and now that story is changing. So
Hmm.
you've I think that's what makes something like a data patterns very exciting and makes this more like an inflection point in terms of scale, because they've been able to sort of crawl through so far and are well entrenched now. But
yeah,
now that the government's focusing more on indigenization, ensuring that everything is manufactured in India, systems integration is also happening in India. The opportunity opens up a lot more because you're not only going to end up working with the end assembler,
yeah,
but also each of the component manufacturers or each of the system producers. That opens a whole lot more in terms of addressable market for someone like a data
Hmm.
pattern. Um,
absolutely.
and obviously, given the fact that anyway the focus on defense is higher, not just in terms of capex, but also in terms of modernization. And this is the modernization step, right? You want to get away from manual systems, you want to automate as much as possible, you want
Yeah,
technology to intervene to a larger extent,
yeah,
which makes it so much more exciting a story at this juncture. And that sort of explains why the stock is very expensive when it comes to valuations. But
yeah.
I mean, you're in the right place at the right time.
Yeah,
Uh, you can't
with the
take a
right
loss.
client.
Again,
Yeah, yeah.
exactly. And again, I think that's a great way to also get into, as you said, they're modernizing, they're being
Hmm.
entrenched into each component that goes into modernizing the defense and aerospace division. But how has data patterns itself kept up with its own tech is also pretty cool. So they've been upgrading on
Hmm.
their own technology as well. In fact, I think so they only have one manufacturing plant in the entire country, but it's like this massive facility in Chennai that spans almost what 7 8 football fields uh,
Yeah.
size, and there is where they manufacture their radars that detect these missiles that come in and help them counteract the missile attacks, electronic warfare systems that can jam enemy signals from hacking into our missile systems and our aircrafts and all of that, and everything that goes into the cockpits of HALs, helicopters, and planes. All of that is manufactured in this one place in Chennai. So naturally, expansion entails just like concentric circles around that. So that's what they've done. From around 8 acres of land, they've gone to about 11 acres of land, and they've, in that much additional space, they've doubled their capacity for all of those products that we just mentioned. And this happened within the span of a year. So, which is also partially why they listed themselves in the first place. They used all of that 500, 600 crores or to put money into expansion and put money into bettering their current facility and expanding facility into more capacity generation. Then,
Which is
so tech
actually good
wise,
because nowadays we
yeah,
see promoters just taking advantage of the high valuation and doing an OFS. But no, this one different. They were
this
like,
is
no,
a this is a
fresh issue.
plug about our previous podcast. So go check out our previous
Yeah,
podcast as well.
you can explore that.
Good one. Yeah, but you're right. Like they really do care about what they're doing, and they don't just want to make it at
I think
once.
recent QIP also came for the same reason for the expansion
Yeah,
and stuff.
precisely, exactly. Which was another, I think, 500 crores that they put in
Yeah,
into. So, pehle ka 500 crores into
plus
expansion of manufacturing. Abhi
to
ka 500
showcase their
crores.
confidence in the business.
Yeah,
They are
correct,
not.
exactly.
Yeah.
This 500
So,
crores for?
so this is for okay. So they already have this tech for radar and electronic warfare and avionics and stuff like that. But this 500 crores is to ensure the indigenization part of it. So all of this radar tech that they have, maybe 60 to 70%, 60 to 60% is indigenized, whereas the 40%, which is basically the intellectual property that the tech is based on, or the patents that the tech is based on, is mostly German, Swedish, or Swiss in nature. And they borrow these patents to make this tech, but now they want to spend that money into actual research with DRDO and with companies abroad to make sure that they have their own name on these patents now. So I think one of the most recent ones, which Chaitanya and I were talking about before, was this company called SAAB. It's a Swedish defense company. Now, Data Patterns recently, I think sometime last year, have partnered with this company, which is like a global defense player. Again, SAAB is also into making tanks for the army, into making missile systems for the army, making planes for the navy, and making submarines for the sorry, submarines for the navy and planes for the air force. So it's a good partnership to have both because Data Patterns also works in all three segments, and they're creating this technology for the Air Force now, where Data Patterns is radar tech, which is so profound and so good at detecting, and SAAB's aircrafts. They're going to do a testing to see how stealthy their aircrafts can be together, and eventually their combined patent will ensure that all stealth aircrafts can be almost indetectable. So India will have that advantage. Maybe Sweden will have that advantage when because the patent will first be split between these two countries. So that 500 crores is going into research and development of all of this, and this one product is just the start.
Also, if Sweden opens up, then all the NATO countries are there. So
Yeah, it's like a again. I think they're doing the
yeah,
same thing, right? They start at the ground level and then work their way up. This is
exactly.
probably one of those moves again.
Yeah.
So eventually you can see some partnerships with the US,
Mhm.
which will be big.
Interesting. They have an office in Baroda.
Now that's hilarious.
You don't know?
No.
You know Atal Bridge. When you're going on Atal Bridge
Ah,
on the left side, you can see it. Where HDFC is. थोड़ा उसके
ah.
आगे.
Actually, Baroda has an alarmingly high number of cool offices. Like Linde
Yeah.
India has that
No,
massive
actually,
plant.
the Air Force here is pretty big. I don't know if you have noticed or not.
I haven't been. No.
Outskirt. No, no, I'm
Just
talking to
Sagar.
actually. It's pretty big. So for testing and all those things, they have pretty large areas. So maybe that's why.
Oh,
Yeah.
that makes
It's
sense
huge.
then.
Yeah, but it's got some very cool companies. Like a lot of like these foreign like MNC
Yeah,
manufacturers in India.
I set
Uh,
up there.
दीपक तो हमारे सामने ही है.
uh,
दीपक
Who?
नाइट्रेट.
Actually,
दीपक
Deepak
नाइट्रेट.
Naik. Yeah, yeah.
so we are in the Alembic
Alembic, yeah.
campus, and Deepak is right opposite,
Yeah.
Wow.
and right next to is Tech Mahindra and
Tech
this
Mahindra. Also
GMS.
Poshak Limited. It's a very small company, but it is on the first floor of our building itself.
Wow.
And
All of
there's
this
this,
Repeating
listed, by the way.
and repeating's in the midst of all this
Yeah.
excellence. I think that's
Take
just like
advantage. Working
that
on
is
a
good.
ground
No,
floor.
it's better to be a small player among large players to learn something than being
Yeah.
the fifth idiot in a group of other four idiots.
yeah,
Yeah. And also our loved one GMM Fodler is also.
that's also,
Check out that podcast as well.
Yep.
GMM Fowler. But yeah, so we've covered how they started their journey, so how they became a monopoly, how they've stayed a monopoly, or how they intend to stay a monopoly. But
Tend
all
to
of this
stay
is
to
great.
like with
Huh.
same clientele.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Defense. So you can't if you bagged HAL, Bharat Dynamics, Doc.
Mazda.
yeah,
What do you need? You bagged DRDO and ISRO
yeah,
also.
correct.
So then, ho gaya na.
You don't
It's
need
a whole
more than
package.
Yeah, your
On
harems.
ground, underwater, air, over air force.
yeah, they've got like all the terrains covered actually.
Yeah.
Space
Space.
also.
Space
Yeah,
also.
exactly.
That's pretty cool.
Now the Mars presence is the next thing, I think.
It's
After
not
Elon.
like it's really possible that data patterns will be a part of that project too. I
Yeah.
mean, we covered MTAR last week that did the Chandrayaan
Hmm.
mission and is going to do the solar mission as well. So
Right.
data patterns could just as easily be part of all of this.
Definitely. Why not?
Yeah. But speaking of, I mean, like because of all that potential, I think in terms of a number, if we had to say,
Will they
currently,
make money?
yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
The narrative can be very cool, but do
Yeah.
you, at the end of it, money matters, right?
Numbers
Money
matter.
matters.
We said today that we're doing noble stuff, balls to noble. Where's the money? Show me the money.
Show me the money. Yeah, but to show you the money, let's say in the past 4 years. So if we take 2019 to 2023 now,
Hmm.
their revenue has gone up 3x. Their profits have gone up from 26 crores to 172 crores. Margins have gone up by 18 to 21 percentage points. They have a massive PAT CAGR of 98%
21%. So,
percentage points. So their
EBITDA
PAT margin.
Fat margin in a.
I think you have to focus on that, not
Yeah,
the
yeah, that's massive. Yeah, yeah.
38% is a beautiful margin to have.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Yep.
and that's not even their highest. They've hit highs of 42, 45%. Beach,
Yeah.
beach.
No, clearly, if you are doing like very mission critical stuff, you
Yeah.
Yeah,
uh,
you can charge that premium.
supply of it, you can charge a premium, right?
That's true. Plus, I think so. Why they have attributed such a high margin is on most years, their order books and then subsequently their revenue is more heavy on them developing tech and developing products rather than actually producing them. So a
Hmm.
lot of it is just them doing tech transfers or doing software transfers. So it's not very cost intensive for data patterns anyway. So they can have those higher margins as opposed to maybe their other tech and defense peers. So 38% is, okay, as you said, a massive, massive number.
Yeah.
Also, most importantly, they have an order book of close to 1,000 crore, which
Yeah.
ensures the next 2 years of
Easy
likely
2 years.
2 years
And
easy.
I think management, so because they have such, as you mentioned, HL,
Yeah.
BDL, Mazgar, Oxcar, clientele, and those three companies together have what, an odd 3 lakh crores in order book as of now. Uska at least 1 to 2% trickle down is what the management is suggesting. So in the
Easy
next
3 4
year or so, you can expect this 1,000 crores to become 3,000 crores
Yep.
at the least.
Hmm.
And this is just like stuff like repeat orders and maybe a little bit of new tech. So imagine if they have to do some major tech upgradation, then so the order book can skyrocket even further.
Clear visibility till FY 30 at
Oh yeah,
least.
absolutely. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Hmm.
So with that kind of visibility in mind, commanding a 34 times 2 year forward per year like multiple is okay.
Yeah. Plus, they have get rid of the debt also, right? With
Yeah,
the
they have zero debt on their balance sheet now.
कितने का दिया? 34 times.
34 times is right now. What is the price? If we had to,
That's okay. I think like
we
if
don't
you've
we
got
don't care about
you
price.
exhibited 36% CAGR in the last 5 years.
yeah,
Hmm.
yeah.
But only on revenue. Your PAT CAGR is to like doubling every year. That's
Insane.
what your
Yeah,
PAT is doing, right? It's
yeah,
margin expansion. But okay, you can't expect the same to happen because you can't expect that kind of delta on the margins from here. So
correct.
it'll PAT growth will more be a function of revenue growth, which again they have
Yeah,
visibility of. So who
Correct.
doesn't like high growth plus
Hmm.
visibility on that? I guess
visibility.
that's a good spot to be in.
Yeah,
And they have 11 sectors of public defense. It's like
yeah,
a
yeah. high
Carry
growth
on.
space anyway.
Yeah. Awesome.
Can be thought of as a perfect proxy for defense and all
The
these.
Like if
overall
you
defense, yeah.
have a very singular play like HAL or MDL or
Yeah,
BDL or whatever, because
this
there's
is
also
much
a
better.
lot of execution risk that comes with that, right? Because if
Correct.
their
Correct.
order books are already at 10 times their revenue, so they can only do
Mhm.
so much work in terms of velocity of production till at least their factories
Yep.
come up. So this is
Yeah.
like a good scalable play and a proxy of a mix of all three.
Mhm.
Uh, Mix of all three, and I think an enhanced version of all three, because manufacturing at the end of it won't
Yeah.
really get you this kind of margin.
Mhm.
Uh, a more integrated software plus hardware play can do that.
Mhm.
Definitely. Yeah.
So definitely, I think one of those places where you could sort of get like a valuation premium compared to the pure play manufacturing guys. Uh,
Which hasn't
it's
been done yet. Like they're all trading at around 20, 30s range in terms of
they're all similar
two-year
valuations.
format.
This one doesn't
Yeah,
command a premium to the others,
correct.
but
Which it
obviously the
can.
margins and return ratios are much superior,
Yeah.
and scalability is also higher.
Yep.
Yeah. Very cool
Awesome.
stuff. No wonder we have it on our Monopolies portfolio.
Yeah.
Yeah, but pretty cool stuff. Something that, like, it's an actual monopoly through and through that they've built with their own bare hands, and it isn't just a factor of luck by chance or lack of other players. They've built this over 30 years, and it's here to stay.
Yeah. So a
There is
prudent
also
investor.
generation in this family. मजा आ जाएगा.
Sorry. Oh
बस
god.
200 करोड़ का प्रॉफिट है साल का. 200 करोड़ का कितना? नहीं 120
You're
124
all
crore.
124 crores.
Not interested.
Not interested. Repeating is only for that big numbers. Yeah. But the guidance is of about hitting 200 crores this year.
25. Is it?
24.
FY24.
Now, Abhi.
Oh, 24. Okay. Okay. Yeah. Last year was 23. Right. So that's about. But actually, that's a very petty guidance given the fact that they did 450 crores in FY23. So
Yeah,
an
yeah.
additional 60 crores is like 15%,
Hmm.
15, 20.
Odd, yeah.
ठीक है.
Pretty cool.
So keep radar on the stock.
Puns by
Keep
Chaitanya.
your radars on.
Radars.
Yeah.
Keep looking at the
On the
patterns.
radar stock.
Keep looking at the patterns.
Yeah.
We give you the data.
Yeah.
We have the data.
We'll give you pattern also. Pattern also
Yeah.
we've given only.
You just have to keep radar.
Yeah. For our next
Yeah.
podcast, which will come out next week.
Next week.
On an interesting topic that we'll unfold next week.
When we find out. Because we've not thought of it abhi tak.
Yeah, exactly.
Till then, happy
Yeah.
Republic Day.
Happy Republic Day. Although this won't
Yeah,
screen
this one
or
premiere.
get published on Republic Day.
Belated.
Belated.
Happy Valentine's Day. No, but that's still far away.
In much advance.
Much advanced.
Oh, during Valentine's Day, we should do a Valentine's talk. Is there something like a Valentine's talk? Maybe like a
Cupid.
Cupid's talk.
Yeah.
Huh?
Cupid.
Matrimony. What is shadi.com is listed, no? Matrimony.com.
No, but
Both of
that's
them.
That's better.
Cupid, na.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
And anti-Valentine's talk is shadi.com.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No,
Exactly.
not really, right? I mean, you're on the two ends of like, you're talking about sex on one end and love on the other end.
Oh, yeah.
Uh,
Because they're very separate, no? There's no
He's on a both
merging.
websites. No, Sagar is on the both
they
websites.
can be separate.
They can be separate. That's true.
Sex and love, not like if there's love, there's sex. If there's sex, there cannot. Okay, bye.
That's all for today, folks. Thank you for watching and stay tuned for the next episode. And that's a wrap.
Bye.